the huge reminder that we have to point out in part 2, the biases that we have. Some of these biases are literally related to how we think about things, how we understand the world. One, you might consider that there's a way that you think about the world that you might not want to think about the world in that way. So what can you do about that? And then also, when considering the times when you think that you're right about something, consider that you might be predisposed to think about what you're thinking about in a certain way, rather than that the way that you're thinking about it is right in some fundamental, objective, absolute way. So, you know, when it gets to really complex things like politics or spirituality or whatever, we got to keep an open mind that we might be predisposed to experience the world in these ways because of our culture, our past, and we have to always be open to the possibility that we might be missing something, or that something that we understand is maladaptive in some way. Increasingly, the age, and we have to be open to this distressing experience of actually changing that. Even just the idea of that we might be wrong about something is something that is first distressing, but you know, we can hone that and learn to be more comfortable with that type of uncertainty, which is as we've discussed in our notes for part 2 so far, is a skill that is generally beneficial for our emotional regulation. All right, increasingly, the aging individual acts to preserve the structures within, and when there is a mismatch between his internal neurocognitive structures and the world, they seek to change the world. In small ways, they begin to micromanage the environment to control it and make it familiar. But so this is the difference between active perception and active inference. So with active inference, you actually act on the world to have it align with your predictions. Right, so when we're thinking about persuasion, we have to realize that it's not like always a set of reasons will get someone from one point of view to another. It's not like that's how our thoughts work. It's not like we're always just like on some objective ground and we can just go from one objective ground to another with thoughts. Like really, at the end of the day, what we're dealing with is experiences and emotions. So what leads someone to change their mind is experiences that are emotionally salient enough, and those could be hearing reasons, but experiences that are emotionally salient enough for the brain to change in such a way where you end up thinking, oh, this is compelling. I was wrong. All right, Wexler's emphasis is on the relative tapering off of plasticity as we age, but it must be said that certain practices used by cults or in brainwashing, which obey the laws of neuroplasticity, demonstrate that sometimes individual identities can be changed in adulthood, even against a person's will. Human beings can be broken down and then develop, or at least add on, neurocognitive structures if their daily lives can be totally controlled and they can be conditioned by reward and severe punishment and subjected to massed practice where they are forced to repeat or mentally rehearse various ideological statements. Any way you go in this direction, you're going to find some like absolutely terrible stuff, but this is like a thing that we found in many cases. In some cases, this process can actually lead them to unlearn their pre-existing mental structures, as Walter Freeman has observed. These unpleasant outcomes would not be possible if the adult brain were not plastic. What we have learned by looking closely at neuroplasticity and the plastic paradox is that human neuroplasticity contributes to both the constrained and unconstrained aspects of our nature. Thus, while it is true that the history of Western political thought turns in large part upon the attitudes that various ages and thinkers have held toward the question of human plasticity, broadly understood, the elucidation of human neuroplasticity in our time, if carefully thought through, shows that plasticity is far too subtle a phenomenon to unambiguously support a more constrained or unconstrained view of human nature, because in fact it contributes to both human rigidity and flexibility, depending upon how it is cultivated. So yeah, we have to cultivate this now.